All right, today we are finally going to put this rear end back together. For anybody who doesn't know, this is my 1986 Monte Carlo SS. It has a 383, turbo 350, and a destroyed 7.5. So a couple videos back, we pulled this thing apart, and I thought I had some gears laying around that I could throw in it. I didn't, they were all the wrong carrier. And I think I'm going to need a new mini spool. I'm gonna try to make this one work first, see if I can fix it, but I got a feeling I'm gonna have to order one. So the pinion is still in it. It did have some 456s in it, and because I don't want this thing to be a race car, because I've got the Firebird, I've got this Turbo LS RX-7 that's a street car, not a race car. Basically, I want this thing to be a nice cruiser, so we're doing like a, not really a restoration, but like a salvation. We're saving it. Because the thing used to just be like a kind of weekend warrior drag car. It was basically gutted on the interior, still had a carpet, but it had those racing seats. There was almost no wiring in the car. That's all redone now. I got most of a stock interior back in it, minus the center console and the radio. I'm not a big radio guy, so I don't care. So with that kind of like family cruiser idea in mind, I got a hold of my buddy Justin Baker down in Texas, Dr. Differential and Speed Shop. I'll have all of his info in the description below. And we ended up going with some 342s to throw in it, so this thing cruises nice and easy. We got this full install kit, and we got the new ring and pinion. Sick. So if you remember from the last video, one of the problems with this is it has the wrong pinion and gear for this series carrier. So you can see this one is pretty thick, this one is pretty thin. That way the offset and everything is correct. Oh! So let's just get straight to work. The thing we're going to start with is popping this ring off and getting this one on, because that's kind of the easiest part to do here. And then you got to remember that these bolts are reverse thread, so you'll actually like go forward to pull them out, you know what I mean? And then we're not going to pull them all out. We're going to basically loosen them up and then gently go around tapping on them, and that'll, because this is kind of a press fit, so that'll pop the ring off. Go. And that is the easiest and quickest way I've found to get these ring gears off without destroying anything. I mean, you could see that I didn't tap it super hard, it was just a gentle like, and it just popped right off. I've seen some videos of people doing this, and then once they get it unbolted, they take the bolts out and then pick the carrier up and slam it down to try and pop it off. I don't really like doing that, especially since these bearings are good. I don't want to risk screwing them up, so that's the way I like to do it. And then install is as simple as, you know, edit, undo. Set this back in here. I'll lift the gear up, get some of them started, and then just start snugging them up kind of opposite so that nothing gets pinched or cocked sideways. So what I was looking for there is making sure there's no gaps or anything around this surface here. Everything looks nice and even. I think it's all good. So I'm going to bust out the torque wrench, check that they're properly torqued. So now I'm going to double check that it is 65 foot-pounds. I'm pretty sure it's 65 foot-pounds that these are supposed to be torqued to, but like I said, I'll double check it. And then we'll get this taken care of. We can start pulling the old pinion out of the rear end. And that's the part that always seems kind of daunting, because there's a whole lot of shims you got to deal with, the crush sleeve. You want to make sure that there's proper tooth engagement. I mean, there's a whole lot more to it than this, but basically this stuff comes with a little like die that you'll brush on the teeth, and once you get it all installed, you'll roll it over a few times and you'll read the pattern. As long as the pattern's good, you're good. But like I said, there is a little bit more to it than that. It's not just cut and dry. As long as the pattern's good, you're good. Because you do want to make sure that there's good preload on the bearings so that they don't go out like in 10 miles. Alright, so now that this part is all taken care of, we can pull the old pinion out of the rear end, and then the fun begins. Trying to figure out what shims need to go where. And unfortunately, I don't think that I can really rely on the old shims. I'll probably start with them and see where it gets me. It seems like most 7.5s, the pinion shim needs to be like around an 035. I've seen 027 up to 040, so we'll kind of start in that range and see where it gets us. And then for the carrier shims, I guess we'll also just kind of reuse these stock ones, see where it gets us, but I'm not expecting it to be where it needs to be. Okay. So here's the pinion that came out of the car, this tiny little baby guy, and here's the one that we're putting in it. And this is everything that came in the install kit. Let's see, we got new carrier bearings, front pinion bearing, the large pinion bearing, that's the one on here. This is the one that sits in the snout of the pig. Here are the shims for the carrier to get that set right. Here's the pinion seal, and here's the pinion shims. This is the one that I was talking about that typically you see like 27 to 40 thousandths. Oh, and a new crush sleeve. So on the old pinion, it doesn't look like there's any shims here. I'm gonna try to press this bearing off just to see, but that's not really gonna matter because I don't think that rear end was set up correctly anyway. So what we'll probably end up doing is trying to shim it to 035. Press the bearing on, and then toss it in there, get everything checked. We'll slap the carrier in there, we'll check the pattern, see how it's looking, see if we need to move the pinion in or out or move the carrier left or right, things like that. And I do have a magnetic base dial indicator right here. We'll use that to measure the backlash, which on this I think is supposed to be between 6 thousandths and 10 thousandths. I could be wrong there. It could be like 5 thousandths to 8 thousandths, but in that range. I'm going to shoot for 6.5, and see what we get. Alright, so I got the new pinion in. Everything seems pretty good there. I don't have the crush sleeve in it right now because they're still just testing things. Might have to pull it back out and re-shim it. But I think now I'm going to grab the center section, set it in there with... We'll try the shims that came out of it first and see where that puts it and see how the pattern looks. And you know, it'd be nice if it just worked right away. Let's go grab the center section, see where it puts it. Alright, the backlash measured about 5,000, so I'm going to shim it over just a little bit. Like I said, we're shooting for about 6.5. Between 6 and 8 I think we'll be fine, but it's so close already, surprisingly. So I'm just going to pull that out, re-shim the carrier, and then put the crush sleeve in the pinion, and we'll probably call it good. Alright, the rear end is all back together. Luckily I got it right on the pinion shims, or at least pretty dang close. The carrier, I did end up putting a 7/1000 shim on the passenger side to kick it driver a little bit. And it ended up getting the backlash a hair over 7/1000, so that's great. And the pattern looked good. I was talking with Justin a little bit during the process because I don't do rear ends that often. I think I've done one in the Cutlass that I used to have, couple in Goldie Hawn, this one, and maybe one or two others. So I haven't done a whole lot of them. So I was kind of talking with him to make sure that I wasn't doing anything real wrong, and we're all good to go. Got the green light from him. The only thing left to do is put some of my gear oil over there in it, and I'm not gonna do that right now because I don't feel like squeezing those bottles forever. I'll do that maybe tomorrow or so. But I think the next video with this car will probably be putting the fuel tank in and maybe tackling the fuel system. Because like I said before, this car used to have a cell in the trunk. It was bolted right here, but there's the pump. I'm probably going to move that onto the frame rail or something down there so that it makes a little bit more sense. But like I said, that's in a future video. And I should replace that mini spool. Honestly, it would probably last a long time, but they're cheap. They're like 60 bucks, so I think I might just grab one before putting the fluid in and just throw it in there, because really the only issue is the blocks, but you know, might as well replace the whole thing. So that's probably gonna do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. The list for the Monte Carlo is shrinking. Mounting radiator, I can get that done tomorrow. Install fuel tank, wire fuel pump, fuel line. I could knock out most of that tomorrow. Radiator hoses, we got those. The throttle cable will work, I just need a mount. So yeah, there really isn't a whole lot left to do with the car. Like I've said before, I want to pull the 350 out of the Firebird. We'll use that transmission in this. I've got a fresh 350 under those car mats, keeping it clean from all the sawdust the other day. I got a fresh 350 with a brake right there that I'm gonna throw in the car. So we're definitely making progress. But like I said, that's the end of the video. Stay tuned for more videos with the Monte Carlo. I think now that it's kind of a roller again, I think I'm gonna try to kind of go full time on the Firebird, get that thing totally ready, because we have a race coming up in a few months. I don't wanna give anything away, but we've got something pretty exciting coming up that I think all you guys will enjoy. So I wanna make sure that the car's ready for that and there's not gonna be any stupid issues that are just from me not taking the time to get the car ironed out. So again, stay tuned for that. Like I said, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. It all helps out the channel. We'll see you guys next time.